What is get and set? In object-oriented programming, we can define a property that actually calls methods in behind, get and set methods, or getter-setter methods. And this is fairly common because when we set a property, we don't want to just record its value all the time. Sometimes we want to do extra things. For instance, x and y property of an object. It doesn't just record that x is 10, it actually moves the object to a position of 10. And this is fairly common. I would say about half of the classes in Zim use get set methods or something. Let's go take a look. So here we have a ball class, and if we uncomment this, we will see a ball on the stage. How about we make it a blue ball? Let's take a look. So we open it up in a browser, there's a blue ball on stage. Now what we want to do is say, hey, ball.highlight equals true, or maybe ball.highlight equals 50. And that would give us the radius of a highlight that will show up. So we're doing more than just storing 50 in highlight. We're actually making another circle with a radius of 50 and adding it to our ball. So we'll use getter and setter methods for that. All right, so that would look something like ball.highlight equals 50. Great. But in behind, we'll have that do more things. Now, if we were wanting to pass more than one thing there, if we said, hey, it's got to have a highlight of 50, yes, but its angle is going to be 30 and its color is going to be blah, 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 then we would have to resort to a method, because that is one requirement of a get and set methods, is it can only receive one. For the set method only receives one parameter, and there it is. That's the value that would be going into that. All right, let's take a look and see how that's done. It's done here in the class, and we use the object class directly, object, with a method called define property, and that's a static method, and that has several parameters. We can do certain things with define property, but we're going to show you how to create a basic getter and setter method. So the first parameter is the scope. Where will this property be defined? Then what is it called? Highlight. It's a tough one. And then an object, and this object has two properties itself. The first one is a set. Now we'll do the get first. Get, colon, doesn't really matter. Get this function will run whenever we try and get the property. And then set, the set function, will run whenever we want to set the property. So when we set the property, we have to receive one parameter. Let's call it value. And indeed, when we pass 50 into highlight, we're setting the property highlight, and we will receive 50 into here. So down below, if we zogged what value is, we would zog 50. Now, we want to keep a local version of that as well. So that looks like this, var, and we often use just the same name, highlight, like that, and we'll set that equal to 0 to start. So there's our local copy or local storage for this called highlight. And indeed, that's 0. Indeed, our get function is just going to return that, return underscore highlight. It is possible that the get function here could do more to it. It could say convert it back to some different unit or something like that. But often it just returns our local value. So if we were to run this and ask for, hey, give me ball.highlight right away before we set it to 50, it would then call the get, and that would return whatever's in underscore highlight. So that would be 0. And indeed, if we were to set the value, we probably want to set that right away. Something like this is equal to the value. And on this side, on the setting, we could error check. We could make sure that the value is bigger than 0 and less than the radius, that kind of thing. That would be certainly something to do here. Okay, now that's super. That sort of round trips highlight. We could set it to 50. 50 would come into here. We'd store that in our local version, which was declared up here. And then if we asked for, hey, now that we set this to 50, what is highlight? It would then return what we had stored locally, so that's super. But the real power comes here. That would just be a normal property. The real power comes when we do something extra. So here we are, we have to actually make that circle and add it to the the ball. So we'll want to keep a variable for that as well, variable, and we'll call it light. Just declare it up above here. And then in here, we can say something like light is equal to a new zim.circle. And we will give it a radius of whatever was in the value. I can do it, value. And we'll give it a color of RGBA, red, green, blue, alpha, 256, 256, this is white, 256, black's a bit easier, it's just zeros, 0.3 for instance. So this is white with an alpha of 0.3. And we want to, we'll center that on this, so that would look like light.center on this. Now, if light were already created, so we had, this might be the second or third time we've called highlight, we don't want the old highlight to remain there. So that's why we've stored a variable here. So across different calls to this function, we have to be able to remember what the light is so that we could remove it. So that would look like this dot remove child light. And don't worry, if this is the first time, it won't cause a problem. It just says, oh, I don't have a light in me, I can't be removed. But we would need it declared up here. So it comes in, and if we were to set a value of 50, it would then try and remove something, but there's nothing there, so that's okay. And then it would create a light here with a value of 50 for the radius. It would center it on this. We actually want to move it over a little bit too. We could spend time on this, but light.x plus equals 50. Probably some percentage of the radius might be better. Light.y plus minus equals 50 as well. We'll move it up a bit. So we center it. Now the next time we happen to call the highlight, if we do add another highlight or request a different highlight, then we would remove the one that was already there and go and add this, the current one here. Okay, so that's great. How was that? It's not too bad. I usually copy this and then just make some adjustments. So let's test this out. We come on down here, and before we even highlight it, let's just zog, if we didn't have any highlights set, what it thinks ball.highlight will be. You remember what that would be? It'd be using the get. It would find out what's an underscore highlight, which happens to be 0. So we save that up and refresh it here and view it with an F12. There's a 0 coming from line 78. Line 78, zog ball.highlight is indeed 0. So now let's grab this and make the highlight of 50. So here we go. We're going to see if it highlights. We refresh. Oh, and there's 50 showing up. That's good. Look at that highlight. Oh yeah, it's like a blue olive, the rare blue olive. And we made that with get and set methods. So we've got a highlight property that calls the get and set methods in the back to actually make that highlight. Let's see what a highlight of 100 looks like. On red. So here we have a red. Paul, yeah, there we go. Highlight of 100. Nice. I'm inventor Dan Zen. here at zimjs.com. Have a great day. Ciao.